edition of the Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's. Thank you for being here. The old gang back again. We're going to talk some NFL. I'm Norm Waymer. This is Big John Malkowski, St. John's Radio Network. This is Marty Bin, Fairway Mortgage, and professional poker.
Yes. Antagonist.
One way of putting it.
I'm fine with that.
Happy Groundhog's Day to everybody. I feel like we've done this before. All right. Tomorrow, of course, is the big day with the big game. And
did you get all your prop bets made?
We're going to get to that in segment 3.
Okay. Prop bets.
We're going to save that for segment 3.
I never get the order right. It's a problem.
I'd give you the sheet, but you don't really look at it anyway. So.
Well, I would ignore it.
The Patriots, by most counts, are 2.5-point favorites. Of course, they were 4.5-point favorites last year and couldn't beat Nick Foles and the mighty Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm tired of the Patriots in this situation. I don't hate them anymore. I just don't want them to win, and I want it to stop. Is it okay? I mean, I'm not even a Rams fan, although I did have to promise Steve Taylor this week that I would cheer for the Patriots so I wouldn't curse the Rams. So, I mean, I don't even know what to do with all this.
See, I'm the other way. I like the way the Patriots go about what they do. Because it's not like the old Yankees who just went out and signed the best players that were out there.
And outspent everyone by a ridiculous amount.
The Patriots take everybody else's cast-offs and turn them into useful players. You know, Rex Burkhead is cut by the Bengals, can't even play for the Bengals, but he comes to the Patriots and becomes a useful piece.
But you have a rooting interest.
Just because Tom Brady's a Michigan guy, no. I mean, that doesn't mean.
I don't know. There is a little bit there's a little bit of UM fraternity where, like, you have to all lock arms, and no matter what, you have to cheer for Brady, even if you hate the Patriots. I mean, there is a bit of that.
I never did 10, 15 years ago. It's just as this goes on, it's just. I mean, everybody else hates it, but I think it's great. I mean, and the two teams are two contrasting styles. You got the Patriots who get rid of guys a year early if they have to, and take cast-offs and make them into a team. And then you've got the Rams who went out and signed the big guys in free agency and gave the big contracts to the Aaron Donalds and the Sues and everybody. So it's two totally separate ways to make up a team. And I think that's an interesting thing about the Super Bowl.
I looked at some team stats to try to kind of figure out what might happen. It's pretty much a waste of time this year. The 3 worst teams against the rush, yards per rush, New England, Kansas City, and the Rams.
So, but I have a theory on that.
3 of the 4 teams that got in the conference championship.
And it's part of why I like these new DVOAs, you know, the defensive value adjusted for, or I don't know, I'm going to get but adjusted for opposition and situation. What kills me is, at least in the case of the Rams and the Chiefs, you know, they're flinging it all around the lot. They're up big in a lot of games. So when teams do run the ball on 3rd and whatever, late in a situation sure. when you got prevent defense, of course you're giving up these giant chunks. I mean, sure. I don't know what it looks like. Here's what I do know.
That's why you can't pay attention to it.
Correct. I know the Cowboys, who were supposedly a good running attack, couldn't run for anything against the Rams when it mattered, and Sue all of a sudden showed up and played like an animal in the middle, and Donald was his usual self, and they couldn't do anything in the middle of that line.
You used to be able to tell the strength of a defense by how they did against the rush, and you just can't do it anymore. No. Same way you couldn't judge it by yardage that they gave up in the air, which I don't think you still can either. But I think one thing you do have to look at, though, is forced turnovers. I think that's a big deal. The Rams were 3rd in the NFL, forcing 30 turnovers, 1 behind the Browns. The Browns were 2nd, by the way. So for all the people that were going, well, they were 27th in defense. That's why they hired the coach that they did. Yeah, but they were 2nd at forcing turnovers, and that's what you do when you have an aggressive defense. You're gonna give up yardage, but you're gonna force turnovers, and we know turnovers are huge in the NFL. So I think that's in there. But New England wasn't too far behind. They were somewhere around 25 or something like that they forced.
But does anyone believe in a big game that Goff's going to turn the ball over less than Brady? I mean, I'm sorry, I can't wrap my head around the idea that that's the likely result. That, you know, at the end of the day, Brady will have more turnovers than Goff Monday morning. I'm not buying that.
Well, you didn't buy it last year.
No, and I still don't drink the St. Nick Kool-Aid.
Who's better, Goff or Knowles?
What's the third choice? There has to be a third choice.
Come on.
I wouldn't.
Goff's a better quarterback.
I think the jury's still out on that. He's had a good year and a half, and I think he's proven in spots to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league. I'm just saying, who would you rather have?
Oh, I'd rather have Goff than than Foles, but that's a whole separate discussion. I'm not the one who loves Foles. That's your thing. You're the Foles apologist.
Actually, the Rams too, producing sacks were actually somewhere in the middle. They were not at the top. So you kind of think that, well, if Donald has a big game and Sue and they can put pressure up the middle, that they're going to affect this football game. I'm not totally sure they're going to be able to do that.
But I think the Rams have been blessed to not have to send the house to get sacks. They've been able to get pressure up the middle and force guys to get the ball out of their hand without having to bring extra guys, which lets them go max coverage back there. I mean, again, it's just the way you want to play the game. I don't think that'll work against Brady for the record.
I think it's the whole game, though.
I think they have to bring zone blitzes and some other things to get the ball out of
the whole game is whether the Rams can get pressure up the middle without having to bring guys.
But Tom Brady doesn't let anybody pressure him. He gets rid of the ball so quick. I mean, that's their whole game plan, and that's all these short little passes are just an extension of the run game.
But he didn't have to get rid of the ball that quick the whole game against Kansas City. There were many times late in that game where 4 and 5 seconds after a snap, he still got the ball and able to thread it down. I mean, some of those passes to Edelman up the seam in the middle, those aren't 1001, 1002 ball out.
No, and obviously all those 3rd and 10s that he completed. That's not something you can just go, a 2-step drop and get rid of the ball. That's something that has to develop. So yeah, I mean, that offensive line is really underrated too, and they're more of a running team too now. I mean, they can put James White in there even though they throw the ball to him, and Rex Burkhead, and I mean they spread the ball around way more than any other team.
To me, the matchup that isn't being talked about is the one you just referenced. I think whether Sony Michel and White on 2nd and 3rd downs, either coming out of the backfield with a little swing pass or whatever, whether they can move the ball and keep from getting behind the chains, whether they can keep it from being 3rd and long on a regular basis, I think that may be the most important. More than the pressure on Brady, I think if they can't run the ball, I think they're going to have a problem. And I think whether they can run the ball, I mean, as a Cowboy fan, it's hard for me to know because the Cowboys couldn't. And I just wonder if New England is going to be able to run the ball where Dallas couldn't in this spot when Sue and those guys decide to play at their A game.
Well, with all those little swing passes and stuff, because the Rams, their defensive line is great, their defensive backs are great, those linebackers are kind of iffy. So you get those little screen passes and stuff like that out on linebackers, there can be some big yardage to be had.
That's why they have to press them. When I say a pressure defense, it's not necessarily bringing guys, but they can't. The defensive backs can't lay 7 yards off the wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk more about this, and we'll talk about some issues in the NFL. It's always a good time to look at it. It's Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good. It's that good no matter what your taste. It's that good. Come early, stay late. Burgers and beer, a shot of cheer. Great food and fun. It's that good here. Bring yourself to Ralphie's. Yeah, it's that good.
Mortgage Marty here. It's spring buying season's right around the corner. In fact, now is the best time to get started. Gives us a little lead time. If there's things we need to tweak, we can get on it right away. Remember, those credit inquiries don't affect your score any more than they will if you check later. So one inquiry, whether it's now and then again in the spring, still only counts as one, won't hurt your score. We helped 3 customers this week improve their score by an average of 30 points. So reach out now. Let's get that started. 419-461-0667 or marty.bin, BIHN, at fairwaymc.com.
It's February Fury as Powerbomb Wrestling is back in action in Toledo on Sunday, February the 10th at 5 p.m. at St. Clements Hall, 2990 Tremainsville Road. Unchained Brandon Day defends the heavyweight title against former champion, the amazing Nate Matson. Also, Madman Fulton, the Circus of Pain, Sexy Sean Casey, Malice, Ben Boone, Queen Amanada, and more in action. Get your advanced discount tickets right now at pbwexcitement.com. It's coming up February the 10th. It's Powerbomb Wrestling. And welcome back, Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's, which, by the way, is a great place to go watch the game if you're not doing your own party tomorrow. Great place to go, no question, to go see the game. If you don't want to go through all the trouble, but you guys putting on parties?
The hotel, no. not really enough room to have a party.
That's true. Well, we'd never get invited if Marty was throwing one, so it's okay. You don't have to tell us, you know.
Here we are. Here we go again.
You know, there was a day the mail didn't get delivered, and I'm sure that set the invitation back. So,
remind me to tell you the first Super Bowl my wife and I were going to watch before the Super Bowl, and then we go to my parents' house to eat at halftime. What happened? Remind me to tell you that story sometime, because
you just teased it. Now you're not going to.
So it's this really nice day. We go kayaking in January out on the lake, and the water's perfectly clear, and there's a million ducks. And we're out there, and I had laid my life jacket on the front of the kayak, and the water was really cold. It was not as cold as this week, but it was cold. So we get down there, and my dad says, "Yeah, these two idiots are out there in kayaks today without their life jackets on. What kind of morons are out there in this weather?" She looked at me and was like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "Hey, meet my parents."
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing any kind of party either. I don't have any friends anymore, so it doesn't matter. Well, when I lost that other gig, for some reason, I seem to lose a lot of.
I'm not saying a word. All right, what's your prediction?
Well, no, I want to get to some issues here in the NFL, because this is we just had this week had the commissioner was talking about some and avoiding others.
Finally brought one up.
Avoiding others.
He's awful.
Of course, they're talking about the instant replay and for penalties, and that, well, it's not covered by instant replay. Well, we know that.
And he said they're human, which obviously they are.
Right. We all watched the game.
A lot more human this year, it seems like, than others.
But this is the problem: is that everybody's still going to watch the games. Everybody's still going to watch the games next year. I mean, everybody can complain all they want about all these calls being missed. It's not going to do anything. Nobody's going to stop watching. It's still going to be. The NFL came out and said,
all the stupid things that football does to itself, I still love football. And whether I hate the college playoff system or I hate the NFL officiating, it doesn't matter. I can't stop watching.
For me, that's always why it'll be number 2 to baseball. Because in football, they can call things whenever they feel like it. And it greatly influences the game.
Have you seen the strike zone?
Yeah. Well, I brought that up during the games.
But you can swing the bat, and it doesn't matter.
Well, I brought this up 2 weeks ago during the games. I said, you watch all these calls being missed, but all anybody talks about is wanting robot umpires for the strike zone. It's like we got the biggest games out here with 50 million people watching. And these guys can't get those calls right either.
I'm a Raiders fan. When I see 3 holding penalties on the Raiders in the same drive, I get a little frustrated.
Well, and the thing that nobody's talking about is that the NFL came out and fined Roby Coleman for a helmet-to-helmet hit. Not even the pass interference.
Well, you can't fine him for the pass interference because you don't fine people for pass interference.
Very rarely.
But that means they missed 2 calls on that one play.
Well, again, if anybody watching that game knew that it was 2 misses, not 1.
But see, very rarely in baseball.
And by the way, 4 of the officials are from Southern California. I mean, let's not sneak that in.
Very rarely do you have a call in baseball that you look at that call and go, that determined the game. And we do this in football all the time. And we also do it in the NBA, too. I mean, what's a foul? What isn't a foul in the NBA?
Well, and that's even worse because
that permanently went down my list when they called the foul on Lane Beer in Game 7 against the Lakers when he didn't even touch Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He got 2 free throws and they won the game, won the series.
Look, James Harden might be a great player, but I cannot watch any game he's in anymore because the jump into a guy to get free throws thing, it drives me.
He had, 140 or something straight field goals without an assist coming from it? or setting it up. I should say.
Yeah, without somebody passing to him to set it up.
What's dead? James Black Hole Harden. The ball goes in there, but it never comes back out.
I love the NFL. Don't get me wrong, but there will be, I think, immense pressure to change it.
Oh, come on. There's no chance they're not going to do something before next year because they don't want
that. Was due. It's reactionary. They always change it, but not until there's a problem.
Yeah, we call them the not for long league. Well, they're also the knee jerk league anymore. They're definitely the knee jerk league.
The NFL does that. They have to change like 8 rules every year or something like that. I think it's in their charter.
Well, and they knee jerk their policy on domestic. I mean, they've knee jerked so many things badly.
Well, look at the quarterback hits. All preseason, all anybody was talking about was hitting a quarterback, and it's 72 flags. And then during the regular season, you can smoke a guy.
But the regular season started with, if you basically...
Clay Matthews, 3 weeks in a row.
If you had flatulence in the area around a quarterback, you could get flagged. Clay Matthews is getting flagged for nothing. And by the end of the year, Phillip Rivers is getting dialed. And, apparently they sewed them in their pockets for the game.
I get the feeling, too, that the NFL and Goodell, they're trying to avoid talking about racial issues. They just won't talk about it. And after this offseason, of course, there were a number of minority coaches that got fired, and that percentage of coaches in the NFL now is lower than it has been in a while. So it's obviously that Rooney Rule is garbage and it's going in the wrong direction. He won't talk about the Kaepernick situation. Of course, that's in court anyway. But it's almost like they're trying to ignore it in the hope that it just goes away.
Well, and the one thing, and I didn't even know they had a press conference with the halftime act, but apparently they do, except they canceled it this year. And which I wouldn't even have noticed, except they made a big deal about canceling it. But I guess that was in part due to the Kaepernick thing because they didn't want them to be questioned about it.
Whoever's in their PR department, they should just fire them all and start over. Because, whoever's giving them the advice on how to handle these situations is bad. They're awful. Worse than the officials.
Who picked Maroon 5, by the way?
Well, they were like 7th down the list because so many people turned it down because they didn't want to be a part of it.
Can't they just do a poll?
Why do we have to have a halftime show?
Well, WWE.
I don't know either because
I'd rather they run more commercials. If I'm going to be blunt, I'd rather more cool commercials than some ridiculous halftime show I don't care about.
I've been to concerts and never have they stopped it halfway through and run a football game.
But I can remember back probably in the 90s, people started counter-programming the halftime show.
Yeah.
I know MTV did a Beavis and Butthead thing.
There's always the Puppy Bowl.
Okay, I'm talking real stuff.
I don't know. The lingerie bowl. Let's not.
WWE did the empty arena match the one year with Rock and Mankind. They're doing matches again this year with guys not on the main card, which nobody cares about. But I'll probably still flip over to the network and watch.
Well,
but I don't know why more people don't counter-program it, because all I hear from people is, well, I don't care. I don't want to watch the halftime show.
No, we want commercials, comedy, and to complain about the officials.
And businesses are already putting their Super Bowl commercials on YouTube, which I think...
I never understood that either.
I don't know why they're doing that either, but they are. I watched Budweiser's last night.
And
don't ask me why.
I won't go out of my way.
No, don't ask me why. All right.
But it's about buzz, not about the actual moment. And see, it used to be the moment was everything. Now it's about the buzz to the moment and then the after buzz. So the more buzz you create.
Most of them are terrible.
I don't know. There's some good ones.
If the commercial plays and 5 seconds after it's done, you can't remember what it's for, it's been totally useless.
Not for me, because I'm just there. See, this is about my entertainment on Super Bowl Sunday, not about selling products. I want to know, was it like the McDonald's one where the baby swinging back and forth?
I'm just saying,
as long as I'm entertained, I don't
remember
care.
That's McDonald's. What I'm saying is, how many times do you watch one of these commercials and then when it's done, you go, wait, what was that for anyway?
Yeah.
Still don't care.
And you have no idea.
Don't care.
It's not the point.
It's about my
The world doesn't all revolve around you, which is why we have to take a break.
Fine.
All right? We'll come back. And you cannot believe some of the things you can wager on. We'll talk about that when we come back. Front Row Roundtable Show presented by Ralphie's.
Bring yourself to Ralphie's.
Borger's Marty here. It's spring buying season's right around the corner. In fact, now is the best time to get started. Gives us a little lead time. If there's things we need to tweak, we can get on it right away. Remember, those credit inquiries don't affect your score any more than they will if you check later. So one inquiry, whether it's now and then again in the spring, still only counts as one, won't hurt your score. We helped 3 customers this week improve their score by an average of 30 points. So reach out now. Let's get that started. 419-461-0667 or marty.bin, B-I-H-N, at fairwaymc.com.
It's February Fury as Powerbomb Wrestling is back in action in Toledo on Sunday, February the 10th at 5 p.m. at St. Clements Hall, 2990 Tremainsville Road. Unchained Brandon Day defends the heavyweight title against former champion, the amazing Nate Matson. Also, Madman Fulton, the Circus of Pain, Sexy Sean Casey, Malice, Ben Boone, Queen Amanada, and more in action. Get your advanced discount tickets right now at pbwexcitement.com. It's coming up February the 10th. It's Powerbomb Wrestling. And welcome back for our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's. 2.5 is what we're looking at. Patriots by 2.5. Prognostications, anyone? I'm terrible at picking games, so I'll take New England. Last year, though, I did take Philadelphia.
See, New England always plays. Every Super Bowl they've been in, it's always been a one possession game.
You forced me to choose in the 2 conference games, missed them both. Didn't really put much thought into it.
I really don't know. I think like many of these games, this one in particular is going to come down to red zone possessions, whether you get touchdowns or field goals. And I think the team that comes away with the most field goals will lose the game.
Well, one side has the greatest quarterback ever, so.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams are the better team, but the Patriots are.
They have Belichick and Brady, and until they don't have that, yes. Bet against them at your peril.
See, and I know Norm wants to get to the props, but why is it a bad thing to get to a Super Bowl and lose? I've never understood. Now they're talking about, well, if Tom Brady loses this one, he's only 5-4 in Super Bowls. He's still been to 9 of them.
He's 2-3 in his last 5. I wasn't going to bring that up. But.
Well, but Jim Kelly got to 4 Super Bowls. Yeah. And everybody, it's just the worst. I mean, it's like it doesn't count.
Well, but in Brady's defense, and this is going to kill me to do this, they haven't gotten blown out. Because the Bills did get spanked in a couple. I mean, a couple of those were a couple of the Elway ones were unwatchable, and so at least the ones they haven't won have been. That's the one thing we have to give the dang Patriots is their Super Bowls are fun to watch.
Well, but it's like when people were comparing.
Why are you smirking? Aren't they?
Not smirking.
Okay.
But when people compare Montana to Brady, and Montana never lost a Super Bowl. Well, okay, he got to 4. Brady's been to 9. Why is it a bad thing to get there I just.
It's because everyone hates the Patriots.
Well, remember what you told me about having something to talk about on Sports Talk Radio? I'll throw your answer right back at you on that one. All right. I don't. You know what? I don't even know what the gambling rules are anymore. Now that
that's pretty wide
thing
open.
Got thrown out, and I don't.
I just flip open my laptop and I can sit right there and gamble from the comfort of my living room.
I don't do it anyway. But
casino to.
Yeah, I don't do it anyway.
Put in the sports book.
Yep.
If you did, and you're so inclined.
Some of these are just goofy though.
No. Well, because if you're wagering on the coin toss, I think you got a major problem. Although what's interesting is that the team that wins the coin toss, they win the game, and that's an even wager too. So it tells you how stupid it is. The
over under the national anthem.
Minute 50 is what I'm seeing.
It's usually over.
Anywhere somewhere between 147, 150, somewhere in there.
And some people take it so seriously they'll go on YouTube and find Gladys Knight singing the national anthem and time them and see where she usually is.
You can wager on whether any player kneels during the national anthem. Now the one that I like is whether Gladys Knight will kneel during the national anthem.
What are those odds?
I would say 0 because if she wants to kill her career, that would be a good way to do it. Now you can wager on whether she'll omit a word from the national anthem.
Well, not intentionally.
So you know what?
Look, I've seen some really bad anthems this year
They're
alone.
usually lip syncing anyway, so what's the
Why
difference?
couldn't Gladys Knight just put, a couple of million down on one of these? And
Well, that's why I was just sitting here thinking, boy, talk about, the other side of the bet. I mean,
will she wear a dress or a skirt or pants or shirts?
she's wearing pants. Pants.
You can wager on whether the mic is on the stand or she'll have a headset on.
Mike's on the stand.
Or Mike not
She's
on
old.
the-
She's old school.
I don't think she won't be wearing a headset.
No, she's not Janice Jackson. She's Gladys Knight.
Yes.
Whether Rob Gronkowski will have a hand on his heart during the national anthem.
Boy, did he goof up an interview this week.
Will the first quarterback they show on TV during the anthem be Brady or Goff? And then it goes for the coaches, too. They'll do the same thing.
Yeah, there should be an over-under on Giselle.
What color of shirt is Adam Levine going to wear? White, black, brown, blue, red, yellow, orange, green, purple, or pink?
What's the pink?
That's the long shot.
Yeah, well.
That's I did them in order. Let's see whether he wears a hat. Will any member of the winning team visit the White House?
Brady loves Trump.
Boy, oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're gonna have to wait a while on
Yeah.
that one.
Will they
Pay off.
somebody who scores a touchdown throw the ball into the stands?
No, not in the Super Bowl.
Will Bill Belichick be referred to as a genius?
Oh, 100%. Yes, 100% chance of that.
I always like this one. The color of liquid poured on the winning coach. Clear or just water is the.
That's the favorite. Yeah.
That's the favorite.
Really?
Then
So
yellow,
you don't,
red,
you don't
blue,
do Gatorade
purple,
anymore?
green, lime, and then orange is the long shot. Here you go. Here's one for you. The number of times Donald Trump will tweet on Super Bowl Sunday, over or under 5? I'll take the over.
Oh, yeah.
I like the over on that one.
I mean, because we're not talking just during the Super Bowl, right? You're talking from midnight on Sunday?
I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because in his interview he's going to be tweeting all kinds of.
How many times will Giselle be shown? Over and under is only 1.5.
Not enough.
Wow.
What's a...
Isn't
if we're
that
going to have to look at somebody in the stands, that's a good choice.
Is it like looking inside a meat market when you're a vegetarian? Will Brady be mentioned as the greatest of all time in the broadcast? I think you can guarantee that one. All right, we got to go. Marty, thanks. John, thanks. Saturday Night Live next. Powerbomb Wrestling at 2 a.m. Any of these shows, this or Powerbomb Wrestling, they all get shown on YouTube. Just put me in the search box on YouTube and you'll find anything. And if you want to help sponsor, Norm needs a new pair of shoes. All right, we'll see you next time for our Roundtable show presented by Ralphie's.